Hello and welcome to Hasu Hour. The game today is from the DreamHack Qualifiers, and we're going to take a look at Scarlett versus Semper. So this should be a great game. It was played on January 9th, and I'm really looking forward to it, to watching the game, seeing what happens, and should be loading any second now. So, Scarlett spawning in the top right with the name Shura, and Zerg, of course, and in the bottom left we have Semper, the Terran. So yeah, let's get right to it, see what happens, see what sort of builds they use. Depot going down for Semper, and nothing really happening yet. Maybe one of the players will send out a worker to scout. Pretty soon we can see that Scarlett has already sent their overlord towards the Terran base to keep an eye on early troop movements, to see if a Reaper is going to attack, as well as to perhaps scout some tech, and also keep an eye on those expo timings so that the player can predict when early pressure will be coming, if it does at all. Hatch first build for the Zerg player, very, very standard approach. Not sure if I've ever actually seen a pro gamer do anything else except hatch first in Legacy of the Void while playing as Zerg. And the Terran, for their part, opening with a rack and then gas, throwing down that early orbital command, getting a Reaper and taking their natural expo as well. Third base coming down for Scarlett. Very eco-heavy opening. No gas yet. Trying to maximize that early mineral income. She's going to have to produce a couple queens. So you don't necessarily want to get your gas right away, especially when you're on 3 base. It makes a little more sense to hold off on the extractor, get those drones pumping, and then start getting gas at 4 all at once for refineries, extractors, whatever you want to call it. Reaper on the way to the Zerg base, going to try to get some drone kills here. Potentially could cause some damage, as well as gain the vital info about this third base. And the Lings engaged with the Reaper. A couple free hits here. Very annoying trying to fight off a Reaper with slow Lings. And the Reaper not going to attack. Yes, is going to attack the Zerg second base. Getting some hits on the drones, but he's got to be careful here. The Reaper could get trapped by the double queen, double Ling fourth, and the Reaper goes down. The Sunken is canceled. And pretty clear win there on the engagement by Scarlett. Back in the Terran base, we see a quick factory switch with the reactor core. Get that early Hellion pump. And probably going to see some early Hellion pressure. Meanwhile, Starport going down. Potentially some drops. But the Terran's going to have to do something, because the Zerg on 3 bases is going to have tremendous eco really early on, and that is going to be a lot of trouble for the Terran if he doesn't do some damage to his Zerg opponent pretty soon. Double Hellion pressure headed towards the Zerg base. This is going to be scouted by the very well placed Overlord. And will the Queens be able to fend off the Hellion attack? They are getting a lot of hits here, but the Hellion sneak by the Queens. There's one more there. And the drones joining the fight. One drone goes down, but the drone army does manage to surround the Hellion, and the threat is neutralized. Creep spread engaged by the Zerg player. The Hellion's going to try to sneak by here. The Queens managed to get a couple hits, but the Hellions do get in to the Zerg base, and they do manage to get some more drone kills. So a pretty successful attack there. 3 drones down in flames. But look at the supply advantage early on for the Zerg player. They can easily suffer those losses with such tremendous eco because of the early third base. Saturation mining at the main and the natural, and well on the way at the second natural. Meanwhile, Liberator harassed by the Terran player. Commands are going down to get that third base. Still trying to work up the saturation mining at the nat, and the Liberator is going to attack the Overlord here. Will eventually get a kill, but this is also going to give the Zerg player time to prepare for the Liberator placement. You can see a Spore Crawler going down at the Zerg main. The Spore is a hard counter against the Liberator, and this is going to help them prevent the always unfortunate Liberator placement right at the edge of your mineral field. So the Liberator not going to be able to do too much now that the 2 Spore defenses have been set up. A creep spread continuing across the middle of the map. And Scarlett still droning up, throws down a couple Evo chambers to get those crucial upgrades. More Liberator pump from the Terran player. And starting to throw down a few more barracks to get that bio set up. The Terran Liberator actually finding a very nice spot to set up camp here in the Zerg main, despite the spores, is able to deny Shura mining. And meanwhile, a Ravager counter attempted on the well-defended Terran natural, or Terran main. And there's really no way to break through this siege tank Liberator Marine army setup. But this Liberator here still doing a tremendously good job of being a thorn in the Zerg player's side. You can see the Terran has managed to equalize somewhat with their supply count. These drones have been AFK for quite some time. They are going to get transferred here, potentially. And a second Liberator actually completely devastating the Zerg eco. Really nice setup and really nice defensive posture here by Semper as he grabs his third base. Still a base behind once the Zerg player manages to reclaim their bases. So pretty even game actually, despite the early lead that Shura achieved. Massive creep spread across the entire map, and this is going to spot the extra Liberator moving in, perhaps thinking about attacking these long distance mining drones. And Mutalisk finally being produced to fight off the Liberator, which had been exploiting the Zerg base. So Scarlett back on 4 bases, grabbing a 5th. Very eco-heavy strategy so far. Saturation mining pretty much everywhere. Needs a few more drones at her main. It looks like the Terran might be moving out, planning an attack on the Zerg base. Will Scarlett be able to muster up an army, get that roach pump going in time? The Terran attacking the creep spread, doesn't want his opponent to have this vision, this constant, essentially a map hack throughout the game, as well as, of course, the ability to move quicker. But instead of committing to an all-out assault, he decides to move back and macro up a little more. 25 supply count advantage for the Zerg player. Still a fairly anybody's game. The Zerg almost certainly has an advantage at this point, but it's going to come down to who engages better, who micros better, and who can do more damage with their army. Few Mutalists picking off the stray Marine, and the Roach Ravager army thinking about engaging, thinking better of it, moving back, trying to buy some time as the mass production of units is underway. Now the Terran defending his tanks with Marines. He is going to start pushing forward. Does have to do a hit on the Zerg Eco, but he doesn't want to get caught by the Zerg attack. Well, his tanks are unsieged, and the Corrosive Bile forcing a brief tactical retreat. The Zerg in a very bad position here. So, against the Terran forces, and some very nice use of terrain, protecting the siege tank from being swarmed by the Zerg unit. So a really nice attack here by Semper could go a long way towards winning the game. You need to attack the tank, and so they are. So a lot of damage to the Zerg forces, but the Corrosive Bile devastating the Marine force. And the Roach is moving into the kill, forcing a Terran retreat. The Zerg match, a significant supply advantage. It is a truly uphill battle for the Terran player here against the massive Zerg army. Although some heavy losses there on that particular engagement, but a massive supply count advantage for the Zerg player who's virtually remaxed his opponent now. Taking a second to macro up. Into a brief tactical retreat. And in comes a dropship. This is going to be scouted by the creep spread, which the Terran player is fighting. And the Zerg army trying to get that kill, trying to increase the numbers of their military advantage here. But unable to chase down the errant dropship. And these poor roaches are going to get picked off by the Marine force. Little mulish backup coming to their aid. And the Zerg army is on the move, very close to the siege tank. And Scarlett deciding to just go ahead and attack the fortified Zerg position. Siege tank falling rapidly. And a very successful attack for the Zerg player. Potentially could take out this fourth base, this planetary fortress. But the SCVs are doing their best to save it, to repair. There is a small Terran force here defending as well, in addition to the planetary fortress. And the base will survive, but it's a Pyrrhic victory as the Zerg player, with a very strong advantage, working on 5 bases to the Terran 3.5. Meanwhile, a nice drop at the Zerg second net, and he is going to retreat. Managed to cause a little bit of chaos there. You can see the addition of Ultralisks and Infestors to the Zerg composition. So the Ultralisk is so vital in the late game as a support unit for the rest of your army, just to allow the more fragile units to get some hits and do some damage. With total map control here, holding the center of the map, preventing any sort of Terran push, as well as slowing down any push by forcing the tanks to siege up and then retreating. A very nice position for Scarlett, grabbing a 6th base. Now, it's going to be very difficult for the Terran to get back in this game. And the all-in assault on the Terran foot. Once again, you see the steady targeting used to some effect here. And again, this planetary fortress is going to get repaired. It may just survive this brutal onslaught. The Zerg just lost virtually their entire army. But so is the Terran. And the Infestors getting picked off by the Terran forces with a lot of gas. The players a little closer to equalized in supply now. But the Terran still on 4 bases to the Zerg 6. So probably a lot easier for the Zerg player to absorb those losses than for the Terran. The dropship attack planned on this vulnerable 6th base, or 5th base, I guess, because the 3rd nat was the 6th base. But anyway, it doesn't matter. the drop scouted by the creep spread. And Scarlett sees it. The roaches are en route. And this drop is not going to be able to do any damage. Probably it's going down. Corrosive Bile exploding the dropship. Terran again fighting the creep spread, which has gone almost throughout the entire map. The Zerg forces massing up again. Roach, Infester, Corruptor. Potentially we're going to see some Brood Lords. Maybe these are just to take on the medevac. No, the Brood Lord cocoons have morphed out. Brood Lord very difficult to deal with in the late game, especially with the support of a massive Zerg army. 2/2 ups for the Zerg player. 2/3 ups for the Terran. And the supply edge not that significant at this moment. 26 supply. Terran at a disadvantage, but potentially still in the game here. Pretty nice drop by the Terran throughout. Not going to do too much damage at this late stage of the game, but still important. Keep your opponent off guard and potentially slow down the intel somewhat. The Marines are going to get rescued. Get out of there. Go back and join the main army. The 5th base being grabbed by the Terran. 6 bases still for the Zerg. And neither player looking to move out just yet. The Zerg content to hold the middle of the map. They are maxed. And we might see an all-in assault once these Brood Lords morph. Looking like the Zerg might hit this 5th base. The loss of which would be devastating for the Terran player, who sent his entire army to reinforce it. And the Zerg decides to withdraw, not wanting to take on those huge tanks just yet. But in come the Zerg army, supported by Brood Lords, Ravagers, Roaches, and Infester. A very gas-heavy force here. And a couple Changelings trying to infiltrate the Terran forces. Will we see an all-in push? Or will Scarlett simply hang out on the edge of the base here, taking damage? And in come the Brood Lords. In a massive push against the Terran 5th base. Massive devastation on both sides. Corrosive Bile slaughtering the Terran forces, as well as the Brood Lord and the Brood Ring taking a lot of damage so that the rest of the Zerg army can survive unscathed. And this game is over, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly appears to be anyway. With this successful attack on the Terran 5th base, the Vikings are taking on the Brood Lords somewhat unopposed here, but a pretty successful attack all in all, forcing the command center to retreat and doing massive damage to the Terran army here. Infested Swarm Egg rapidly called down, try to save the 2 remaining Brood Lords that were being destroyed by that Viking army. 50 supply advantage for the Zerg player. Meanwhile, a very nice drop on one of the most valuable Zerg bases. The drones, though, going to be retransferred from these depleted bases. So probably not the end of the world at this late stage of the game. Does need to get a few more drones here. While Scarlett mapping up another force, probably going to attack this 5th base again. Completely undefended right now. But instead actually moving into a little more of a defensive posture over by these 2 valuable bases. Trying to stop this drop, and drop's not going to be able to do that much damage because the Zerg forces did manage to reinforce in time. more of a harassment thing at this stage when the medevac goes down. 40 supply advantage for the Zerg player. Still has working on the 7th base now. And the Terran with only 2 active mineral bases here. Not much gas income at the moment. But he is going to take a 3rd active base. And Scarlett's going to have to cross that in order to maintain their edge on the match here. More Broodlords morphing in the center of the map. And the Terran player about to pull ahead in income, especially with the mules. Both players sort of macroing up, taking a second. But here comes the Zerg push. And this is just a massive Broodlord force, supported by Infestors. Terran army moves to confront the push. Engaging with the Roaches. And the Vikings trying to attack the Broodlords without falling victim to any sort of infested fungal growth or the Corruptor support as well. And the Broodlings attacking the Terran formation here, doing a lot of damage, causing the Terrans to take a lot of splash damage as well. And a ton of infested joining the fight. This is just such a massive threat. It's truly incredible what late game Zerg can do with the eco of 7 bases and a massive Vestian-based army here. The Zerg doing a tactical retreat, having lost one of his bases. He's gonna want to take on these Marines here, cause a lot of damage. And are trying to pick off a few Broodlords before they get wiped out by the Zerg ground forces. Infestors running for their lives in the Skin Marines. But the threat has cessated and the push is back in earnest. Massive supply count advantage for the Zerg player. Fully maxed as the Terran only at 136 supply. And both armies very close. It's about to be a big attack here by the Zerg player. The Terran base fairly undefended. The Bioball army trying to get in place. They're relentlessly hunting the Terran forces. 2 fungals completely destroying the Marine force. And this is the end, ladies and gentlemen. That is the end.